All right, it is 6:40 a.m. A very important issue happening abroad that we ought to talk about more, and it is happening in Sudan. The GTA has a large Sudanese community, and they are among the many horrified by the latest events in their homeland's 2-year-old civil war. Prosecutors at the International Criminal Court warn a paramilitary group may be committing war crimes there. Hundreds have been killed just in recent days. Famine may be setting in across the African nation. Mahmoud Hassan is a Sudanese-Canadian filmmaker. He's been closely watching this situation, has family there, worried about them. Mahmoud, good day to you.
Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm okay. Are you able to actually speak with your family?
Yeah, I'm able to speak with those who are outside of those who are in Khartoum and those in the bigger cities. Yeah,
What's the message from them? There have been some horrifying scenes over the past 2.5 years.
they're terrified. They are absolutely terrified. They don't know what to do. The images that they're seeing, I don't think any of them have ever expected to be able to see that from their own countrymen, really, in a sense.
And what's the reverberation here among Sudanese Canadians?
Sudanese Canadians are, I mean, there's so many different aspects to kind of answer it, but mentally they're very, very distressed. Obviously, they're just really, really concerned about what's happening in Sudan. Terrified, really, in a sense, for everybody else. Financially, we are quite strained. That's become a problem because it's just we have to support people who are living in Sudan and around Sudan, those who have been displaced. I mean, you're looking at almost close to 14 million people who have been displaced. It's just a huge number. So I don't know anybody who does not have a family member who's stuck abroad or stuck in an internally displaced camp. It's terrible. And to add to it all, honestly, in Canada as well, we're quite frustrated also with the family reunification program that has been that hasn't really worked for us. That has not worked for us at all, and we've been seeing some very stark contrast between how we're treated versus other people.
I was in Kenya at the outset of this civil war and saw many people who had connections to Canada, who had family in Canada, either making their way to Nairobi or being brought out to Nairobi by the Canadian military. And there was that initial round of some people who made it. And then things seem to have fallen off a cliff in terms of what you talk about, family reunification. Why is that?
I don't know how to say this in a polite way, but the truth of the matter is that Sudanese Canadians honestly feel like their lives are not really worth it when it comes to how Canada sees them. This has been a very, very honestly awful reality that we're coming to, is that we are not seen as equal as other people. The family reunification program itself was actually introduced almost 10 months after the beginning of the war. 9 months after, no one had been processed, and now we're almost 2 years into the actual war itself, and less than 2,000 people have arrived through that program, out of almost 7,200 who have been approved, right, or processed, really, in a sense. There's just hurdles all across. There's just hurdles all throughout the actual program itself. I think the part that was shocking about this program itself is that from the outset, the financial burden was placed upon us. I mean, I don't know any humanitarian program that Canada has brought about where it places the financial burden on the anchors, the family members who are living in Canada. So for each person I need to sponsor, I would need to have about $9,900. Up to almost $22,000 if I have a family of 6 people. Now, that's a large amount of money for our community. Our community is small, it's young. They don't have that kind of money sitting aside, and especially after having to spend almost money on everybody living in Sudan and abroad and around Sudan for 18 months until the program itself started. It's honestly a really devastating story for us.
Wars are expensive. They require a lot of equipment. the two major factions in this war are some of the original government factions, along with a paramilitary group that now controls a very significant part of the country. There's always questions about where the money comes from and where the equipment comes from, and the answer to that in some cases is that there's Canadian equipment that's inside Sudan. Can you explain how that's happened?
Well, I'm so glad you're the one who brought that up because, so I mean, during the actual Al Fashir siege right now, this was the most recent city that was just savagely really raided by the RSF, right? We were able to get some video and some footage of um, armored vehicles that are made by a company called Straight. That's a Canadian company. It was established here in Canada in Ennisville. It does operate out of different parts of the world, but those specific vehicles were made in Ras Al Khaimah in the UAE. The UAE has always been. We've always suspected that UAE had some sort of interest in destabilizing Sudan. Just for so many different reasons, that would just probably be a different show. But that's just been an ongoing thing for a long, long time. But the truth of the matter is that the UAE is directly funding the actual Janjaweed, the actual rebel group, the RSF. And Now we're honestly thinking that Canada is also complicit because we've talked about this. MP Heather McPherson has sent many, many letters to the Parliament telling them that there has to be a way for us to not support what's actually happening there. Now, there's both sides, two sides of the coin here. Canada is delaying the coming of our family members, and at the same time, it is actually exporting the actual weapons that they themselves are being killed with. This is really a real problematic situation for Canada. I don't know how they're going to get out of it. And now we're just hearing also news that Prime Minister Mark Carney is actually going to visit the UAE. I'm concerned. I don't know what's really being thought of here, or whether we're being thought about at all, or whether even honestly our lives are even seen as something that's valuable.
Mahmoud Hassan, thank you very much for speaking with us today about this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That is Mahmoud Hassan, who is a Sudanese-Canadian filmmaker based in the GTA, speaking about the more than 2-year-old civil war that the International Criminal Court now says may be seeing war crimes in its midst.